Welcome to another video from XF Motorsports. This is going to be part 2 of Project 630 SL, in which we're taking an old Mercedes SL, a 1981 380 SL, and we're trying to convert it into a modern day C63. So basically a car that looks exactly like a classic SL on the outside, but feels and drives exactly like a C63 AMG. So in the last video we started off by taking that car apart. So we took the engine and transmission and all the interior, pretty much everything out of that car. So we were just left with pretty much the bare metal, all the stuff that we needed from the car. In this one, we're going to be taking this one apart, the C63. We're going to be taking the engine, transmission, all the electronics out of it, the SAM modules, seat modules, door modules, pretty much, yeah, there's a whole bunch of electronics in this car that I'm going to talk about, and of course we need to carry over some of those modules to make everything that is working in this car work in that car. So there's going to be a few tricks that we'll have to do along the way, like for example, this car never even came with wheel speed sensors, but we need to add wheel speed sensors for the ABS and ESP and all these features to work. So it's going to be quite a bit of work, but for this video, of course, we're just going to be taking everything out of the car, making sure we take it out in a way where we know how to put it back together. So let me first start off by showing you guys the car and the plan for taking it apart. So I'm going to be working on this lift, the alignment lift, because Sebastian is going to be busy on that lift. He's doing a bit of restoration on the car, fixing up all the rust so that it can all be cut and welded back together in time when all the stuff is out of this car, so that we can put it into that one and work more efficiently. But yeah, starting off by showing you guys what we're going to be starting off by removing. So yeah, here's what the car looks like underneath. Fairly clean car. The only modification on the exhaust was that the secondary cats have been deleted. That's why this one actually had a really nice sound. And one thing I do want to do with the conversion is I want to try to preserve the sound of the C63, because that's the best thing about this engine. It has an absolutely amazing sound. After this one, of course, all other AMG engines that came after this were turbocharged. That's why they didn't have such a, you can say, pure sound. So yeah, we're going to start off by removing the exhaust. After the exhaust is out of the way, then I'm going to start off by removing the transmission. I'm going to unbolt everything on the engine from underneath, but we won't be able to remove the whole subframe. If I was doing it on that lift, I would have just unbolted the entire subframe and taken everything out, the engine, transmission and all of that as one piece. But what I'm going to do on this one is that, yeah, I'm going to take the transmission out, I'm going to unbolt the engine, and I'm going to leave the subframe and everything in place so that we can just simply lift the engine up from the top. That way, yeah, we'll get all that out of the way, and after that we will roll the car off the lift, and then we will get into removing everything else from inside the car, all the electronics, the wheel speed sensors, and a whole bunch of other sensors that I guess I'll show you and I'll talk more about when I get to that part. Here's a look at the car after removing quite a few things from it. So I've removed the entire exhaust, the automatic transmission, the front part of the drive shaft, and a few things from the engine as well, like a few connectors, and I've unbolted the engine mounts. And basically, yeah, at this point what I need to do is I need to lower the car, I need to push it off the lift, I need to move my car out of the way first, and then I need to remove a few more things from the top so that I can finally then take the engine out. I wouldn't be able to do it on this lift because the engine jack wouldn't fit in this space, so that's why I need to push it off the lift first. So finally, after quite a bit of work, the M156 engine is out of the C63, and if you're wondering what the weight of an M156 engine is, it is 244 kilograms. So I guess it's definitely not as light as an M113 engine. The S500 engine was of course 186 kilograms. That's incredibly light for a V8 engine, by the way. This is more like the weight of your typical V8 engines. But anyways, now that the engine is out of the car, next what we need to do is, well, we need to do a little bit of work on the engine too before we put it in the car. We need to change the valve cover gaskets on it. The owner also wants the cam adjusters to be, the plates on the cam adjusters to be replaced because he wants the car to be reliable. So while the engine is out of the car and all this is going to be really easy to do, we might as well do it now rather than later. And of course all the pulleys at the front, this engine also has like these brittle plastics that crack over time and then they give trouble. So of course while the engine is out, we're going to replace all that. And here's a look at the engine bay. It's a fairly clean engine bay, I guess. And well, the things I have to do next on this engine bay are that I need to remove all the radiators, I need to remove all the power steering hoses, need to remove quite a bit of the braking system and everything. And of course all the wires, all the sensors, everything in here needs to be taken out because it needs to go exactly the same way in that car. Also mainly the more difficult part is disassembling the interior, taking the seats out, taking the entire dash out, all the SAM modules, all the wiring harness that is running from both sides of the floor all the way back to the trunk. So that's really a nightmare of a job that I guess I have to do, but I'm really not looking forward to do that. So after that, the next day I started off by removing a bit more of the engine bay, taking out all the radiators. And after that it was on to the long, boring job of disassembling the interior and taking all that apart. By the way, if you're wondering what the fate of the C63 is after this conversion, well, there's two options. One, the owner either wants to keep the car for now and later he wants to swap in another engine and transmission and turn the C63 into a time attack car or something, but he won't be able to do that until like late next year. So the other option is to sell it to someone else who wants to turn it into a time attack car. Basically what's going to be left of this car after the conversion is going to be that the full chassis is going to be there, the wheels and tires, the brakes, the suspension, the differential, everything is going to be there. All that really needs to be done is putting an engine and transmission and standalone electronics with it. So it's like the perfect car to go for if you're planning to build a time attack car or something, because all the weight reduction, all the stuff that you need to do while building a time attack car is already done on this one. So I would have considered buying it myself, but the problem is that I'm stuck with way too many projects right now. I haven't even finished my own car, so that's why that's something that I can't even think of right now. But if someone else wants to buy it, definitely let me know. My email is going to be linked below, info@XF Motorsports, and hopefully this car is going to be able to find a new life. Here's a look at the C63 after taking the dash, the seats, all the carpets out of the car, and this was a whole lot of work disassembling everything, but it's still not over. There's still quite a lot more to take out. I still need to remove the steering column, the whole climate control system. All these wires that you see over here need to be taken out of the car, so yeah, it's quite a bit of work. But showing you guys a couple of cool things at this point. So whereas in the previous car you might remember that when I was disassembling that, every switch, everything in that car was massively complicated. There was a whole lot of wires coming out of everything. Whereas in this car there's so many more features that that car had, and yet the wiring is much simpler than that car. So they're using CAN bus serial communication, whereas in that car literally every switch had a wire going from it to, like, let's say in that car, if you wanted to move your seat forwards, there would have been a wire going from the seat button to the seat that would like actually move it forwards. Whereas in this car, things are done differently. Like, this is the door control module. So this is a little computer that sits on the door, and its job is to control everything on that door. So the windows, the side view mirrors, the door locks, everything is being controlled by this module, and it communicates with the rest of the car only using these 4 wires. 2 are for power, for powering this thing up, and these other 2 are for CAN bus, a serial signal that basically goes to this computer, and it tells it what to do. You can think of it like a USB port for this computer. So basically when I push the button to move the seat forwards, that button is only communicating with this module, and this module is sending the signal that I'm pressing the button forwards to all the other modules that are connected with these two wires, which I believe will also be on this thing, which is actually the wiring thing that goes in the seat control module. So actually, yeah, right there. So the brown and the brown-red wire. So basically, yeah, these two wires will then tell the seat control module that I'm pressing that button forwards, and then the seat module will basically move the seat forward. So it seems like a complicated thing, but when you actually put all the systems of the car together, it simplifies things by a whole lot, and there's much less wires needed to do everything. So it simplifies the wiring harness by a whole lot. But of course, the downside of the system is that if the CAN bus fails, if there's a short circuit on those two wires, all of modules that are communicating in the car using that CAN bus circuit, they will all stop working, and they will not be able to communicate together. So it will cause a massive bunch of issues, and that's why when the CAN bus starts giving trouble, it's really difficult to usually find out where that problem is and fixing that. Also, while showing you guys some not too good things about the car that you definitely wouldn't have seen in the older car. So look at the quality of this welding. Like, this is aluminum welding. You guys complain about my aluminum welding, but look at Mercedes' aluminum welding. This is like the crappiest welding ever. Clearly running low on argon, a whole bunch of like blobs of same with all the welds over here. I'm not sure if this is like welded by a robot or welded by hand. Definitely doesn't seem like it's welded by a robot, because yeah, I don't think any robot would weld like this. This is downright just horrible, and it's everywhere. Like, look at this. All the welding is like really crap on this car. Same with the quality of everything else. Like, just look at this module over here, which I'm not sure what it does, but it's just wire tied. It's literally wire tied. There's no bracket, nothing holding it. It's just flopping on the rest of the car like this. Anyways, let's get back to work. Let's keep taking this car apart and see how much more work we have to do to get all this out of the car. So here's how far I'm going to get for this video. Most of the C63 is apart, but I've ran a little bit out of time right now, so I wouldn't be able to pull the wiring harness out completely, but at least the good news is that I think most of the wiring harness is going to come out even without removing the climate control. I think only the that really thick black 12-volt wire that goes from the battery all the way to the front, that's the only one that is passing behind the climate control, so I might have to like push it forwards to take that out. I'm not sure, but here's a look at the engine bay, how much I've been able to remove. So the SAM module that sits over here is gone, but I still need to remove these wires. There's also some wires that are going from here to the engine bay that go to the ABS module, and also on the other side the wires for the wires that connect the ECU to the chassis, which this plug and a few other things over here. So basically all this needs to be taken out, and of course there's a little bit of disassembling to do. I need to take the wipers and that thing off, and of course the ABS module out. So all that is still left, and also in the trunk there's a little bit of work left. There's a SAM module that sits over here, the battery that sits here, and then yeah, just a few things to remove from the trunk. So all that is going to take a little more time, but at least the bulk of the work, most of the work is done with disassembling this car. And we'll also showing you guys what's going to be coming up in the next video. We're going to be focusing on the engine, changing on all the things on it that need to be changed. And actually this company Click Wrench actually sent me these really cool oil filter sockets that this one is for the M113 to fit on the oil filter. This one is for the M156 that goes over here. The really cool thing about this one is that they already have like a torque limiting system in them, so you don't need to go around looking for your torque wrench and set that up. I will use this in the next video when I actually do start work on the engine, but for now, if you guys want to look at it, I'll leave their link in the description below. Definitely a really cool product though. They've even printed the company logo on it, XF Motorsports, so thanks for that. But showing you guys some more progress, some work Sebastian has been doing on this car while I've been busy with the C63. So this probably would have deserved, I guess, a video of its own, but he has been really hard at work fixing all the rust on this car, like cutting away all those pieces and like welding new pieces of metal. Look at how good his fabrication skills are, all the welding and everything. It looks really nice. And yeah, the car is coming back together fairly well. He's done with that side. He's still working on this side, but really good quality work that he's doing on it. So hopefully the car never gets rusted again. But in the next video, hopefully you guys are also going to be seeing some more fabrication work. Well, I'm not sure if we're going to get to it or not, but basically we need to place the engine in here and see what modifications we need to do to the subframe to actually make the engine fit, and also the radiators fit in front of the engine. So that I know is going to involve quite a bit of fabrication, because those radiators are actually wider than the frame itself on this car, so there's going to be some cutting and welding involved over there. Also, I've done quite a bit of looking into the suspension and what we have to change on the suspension to basically convert this steering to a rack and pinion, and of course we need to do some modification on the spindles and make a bit of custom stuff over here to add wheel speed sensors on this car, because of course these cars never even came with wheel speed sensors, because this was the time before ABS. But yeah, this is going to be super cool to see this car working with ABS and everything, if all those features actually work properly on it. So yeah, still quite a lot of work left for this project, but it is coming along. At least all the messy part, or the boring part, is almost out of the way, removing stuff, taking things apart. And now hopefully from the next video on, it's mostly going to be the fun part, putting the engine together, putting it in the car, and actually starting to put things together. So that's going to be everything for now, but definitely stay tuned for the next few videos, because there's quite a lot of cool things coming up. Well, one thing is that we were working on this carbon fiber rear wing that opens and closes just like DRS on an F1 car, and that's pretty much done. So you guys are going to see a video from that hopefully next week. After that, you guys are also going to be seeing a couple of videos from the F1 project. So we were designing a few parts for it that we're going to be making really soon, and also then, well, more content from this project, putting this engine in that car and everything. So yeah, quite a lot of cool things coming up. This is going to be everything for now. I will see you guys in the next one.